weirdly to do with casting. So Michael Smiley and Neil Maskell and Janet Buehring and Emma Fryer, all people I've worked with before on other TV shows, and I kind of wanted to work with them again. So Amy Jump and I co-wrote together, kind of started from the point of the cast rather than starting from a story that we then we tried to attach people to.
So these characters were sort of tailored for these actors. So had you tell Neil that you wanted to make a murdering hitman, that he inspired you to create a murdering hitman character? Did he like that? Was that an ego?
I think he just based his performance on me.
Well, that's what you did with Down Terrace too, right? That was a film, your first feature, which was a sort of a domestic crime film, and that also grew out of the actors, right? Wasn't that how that worked?
Yeah, because it was quite a pragmatic film. We started from the point of view of what we had, which was a house and some people, and we had to write a film to fit that rather than the normal route, which is your dream project, which is set in 1930s Peru, and then you try and make it near your house. And Peru, difficult, can't get that old car and all that. So we set it exactly with the things that we had, and therefore could achieve it, which is half the battle.
Well, I mean, this movie begins sort of like that. It has that sort of a lot of the picture takes place, in a limited number of locations, and then obviously it gets bigger and stranger as it goes. The writing process, how did you structure that, the melding of genres? Because it goes from a gangster film to a crime film, sort of, and it really just effortlessly morphs into, you don't even realize all of a sudden you're in a horror movie. So how did you structure that when you were working on the script?
We kind of just let this. It wasn't like a postmodern thing where we went, we're going to hit these different genres and explore them, or change them, or there's nothing wrong with genre, it doesn't need fixing. So it was more that we started off wanting to make a horror film, and we wanted to make something that was scary. And then I subscribed to that whole Kubrick non-submersible units kind of theory of making really solid images and sequences, or 5 of those things that you then becomes the movie. Once you've got those tentpole moments, then the rest of the thing will come together. So we kind of started by thinking about nightmares and anxieties that we had. So kind of stuff about claustrophobia and some of my childhood nightmares, which were about people in the woods and stuff, and then dinner parties. I fucking hate dinner parties. And we've got a kid. Amy and I are married, so we have a child, and it's the anxiety of that, of anything happening to the kid. It's like, I can't watch Don't Look Now anymore. I can't get past the first 2 minutes of it, 3 minutes of it, so it was kind of going into that kind of territory.
This is like such an abstract question, and I apologize in advance, but I guess we were talking a little bit before we came out about the difference between shock and sort of terror. And it's easy to scare somebody, you know what I mean? It's easy to have a cat jump out of the thing or have a guy's face suddenly show up. When you're getting to the end of this movie is scary in a deep way that isn't just like, you aren't just being startled, you are being deeply affected. Obviously, so much of that comes in the filmmaking. In the editing process, how do you find that pace that allows you to kind of get into that terror at the end?
I guess there's a few things that are happening in the film. I mean, there's a certain amount of sound design that's doing this, and there's a lot of in the 5.1 design. There's a lot of sub bass that's kind of moving backwards and forwards through the auditorium, which is designed just to rattle your intestines and your heart and your lungs and stuff. And if you watch the film with no picture at all, you would come away feeling upset and nervous. So that's going on. And then this thing of like that the narrative is difficult to follow and difficult to get ahead of. Because usually you kind of, when you start watching a movie, I think, when I start watching a movie, I'm kind of having a conversation with it, and I know where it's going. And by the time it's got 5 minutes in, I've finished the film, and I'm waiting for it to unfold. Often, but with this film, it's very hard to do that. So you're you're level with what's unfolding in front of you, and therefore you're much more tense and kind of and you've seen it kind of do things where it goes to places that you really didn't like, and it could go to those places again at any moment. And I think that's what keeps the pressure on you.
Well, it's interesting because that is, I think, such a big part of it. And there's this: the film doesn't get, while it stays ahead of the audience, it doesn't get too clever for the audience. And while at the end of the film, I think there's a lot of ambiguity, I think it's still satisfying. Can you sort of talk about balancing that level of ambiguity with a satisfying, complete experience? I mean, is there a version of this film that has, you know, all the explanations spelled out? Do you have that in your head?
Yeah, you couldn't write it if you didn't know where it was going, you know. And I think it's more that the information is all there, but there's no summary. You know, there's no doctor coming on at the end. We've got a vaguely Scooby-Doo ending. Full Scooby-Doo ending where they go, if it wasn't for you meddling assassins, you know, welcome. Here is your hat that you won for murdering your family. It wouldn't work, would it? So, but it's a movie, you know, from my copious following of Twitter, the font of all movie knowledge. People tend to, some people come out of the screenings just going, what the fuck was that? And then I hate it, and then the next day they go, oh, yeah, okay, now I understand it. Because it takes a little bit of time to process what it is. It's not that it's unclear, it's all there, but you've had to work so hard just to keep up with it during the screening. You know, and I like films that make me think. I like that feeling of thinking while I'm watching a movie, and the movie's in control and I'm not. You know, it's not a broadcasting, which is broadcasting into my brain, and I'm going, yeah, I know, yeah, okay. This is all very comfortable. I think a film for me that, you know, the film experience that I really enjoyed was watching Primer, and feeling, you know, so shout out to the Primer fans.
Well, and the idea is that this is something you can go back to again and again.
Well, yeah, well, you can sit through it just going, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I really like it. You know? I think that is an absolutely bona fide movie experience. You know, that's not a problem. And I've got an inquiring mind, you know, and sometimes when I don't understand something, I don't blame it. I have to think about it myself.
Well, when this film played at South by Southwest, and I talked to you before then, and you had said that you had done a test screening, and the audience sat there stunned with this blank look in their eyes at a certain point. When do you know that it's working? That what you're trying to get across is really hitting these people? And is really just scaring them. How do you know that you're getting it right?
Well, I mean, I've done a lot of kind of online stuff and like slapstick stuff, and with that, it's like an automatic laugh when you see it and you get it right, and people can't help it, and they just do it. And I think that kind of stunned, terrified, horrified thing is something you can't fake. You can't go, how are you scared? Yeah, I was scared, yeah. You know, you're just like, fuck. I don't want to even look at you. You know, that's what we tended to get. Or people squealing like, oh God, no, the child. Things like that. You couldn't fake that. You know, you wouldn't do that to yourself, would you? So that kind of stuff happened quite a bit.
Well, it's interesting. You see, you started out with these shorts and doing a lot of viral things on the internet. And a lot of it's funny, a lot of it's surprising. And it's all about timing. Timing feels to me like comedy and horror are the two genres that timing is key.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. And action, you know, it's cinema, you know, it's all about timing. The whole thing is about time-based. But I think there's definitely lines between comedy and horror. There's this idea of basically a gag, which is in a comedy, a joke, but in a horror film, a reveal or a thing, and then you've got the build up to it, the payoff, and you know. So those technical things are shared between the two types of film. Yeah.
I'm just sort of curious because we all live in this internet world, and there are memes that come across our computers every single day, and we see great YouTube videos. Your cunning stunt has like 10 million views on YouTube. What is sort of the key ingredients to something that's going to really spread? How does that work? Is there a secret to it, or is it just?
Old school viral, which is based around about 3 different jokes. One of them is a man falling down some stairs. There's a fat man falling down a hole. That's quite an important one. Or a boastful man cutting off his own hand. These are essentially how these gags play out. And the cunning stunt, which is a man jumping over a car and then being run over by a second car as he's talking to his friend about it, is the boastful man gag. Which is pride comes before a fall. So, yeah, there are rules.
So, Down Terrace, your first feature, this was a film that you really got going on your own, right? I mean, can you talk about sort of your process of jumping from ads and TV into feature films?
Yeah, I'd said to my agent I wanted to do. I directed a lot of comedy on TV, and I wanted to do some drama. And he said you have to do a short film. They won't let you direct drama. And then I thought it'd probably be better just to do a feature film because it's probably as much aggravation as doing a short. And I got together with Rob Hill, who's someone I've worked with for years and years and years, and we kind of cooked up the script. And then we did some maths and we thought, what's the maximum amount of time you can ask people to give of their free time before, in a month, So most people have to pay their mortgage, so you can't take 2 weeks out of their month because they won't have enough time, So we came to this number, which was 8 days. And then we divided the amount of scenes by 8, and then we had a schedule, which was sometimes 40 scenes a day. And then we did the maths and worked out how many minutes it would take to do each scene, and then we got a stopwatch and we just shot it. But the only way to do that is that you pre-light everything. You shoot in a documentary style, and you accept that up front. And you've written a script that doesn't have any cars that turn into robots, or stampedes of cows, or expensive shit. So mainly drama, which is can be just people talking in rooms, and that's fine. But that's the only kind of film you're going to be able to make. But that shouldn't be a problem, Right. There's a perfectly fine genre, the genre of people talking in rooms.
Now, I mean, with Down Terrace and with this, both the dialogue in both films have this really naturalistic, semi-improv feel. When you're making a film like Down Terrace, where you have 8 days and you're timing it down to the moment, are you able to do improv, or are you having to stick to the script? How does that work?
I think I just come off of shooting a TV show, and I'd shot 3 hours in like 6 weeks or something like that, and that's all very drab. So you move the camera around every time you move it. It's taking 20 minutes to relight, But I think that in the 8 days I shot Down Terrace, I spent more time with the actors than I did in the 6 weeks that I shot in a traditional way. And that's because everything was pre-lit, so you're shooting a documentary. And I think the mind trick of all this is that no one is, this Primary, the JF Kennedy documentary shot in 4 days, it's a feature film, but no one would have a problem with that because it's a documentary. Right. They go, well, of course, a football game is, however long it is, and they'll film it in real time, and that's it, and it could be a feature film, couldn't it? But, as soon as you break through that and think, well, it's drama, they've learnt the words, but I'm shooting a documentary about them performing the thing, then all of a sudden all bets are off, and you can shoot stuff you could shoot it in real time if your actors were good enough or sharp enough. So that's what we did.
So it's 8 days for Down Terrace. How long for Killers?
3 weeks and 6 to 8 weeks.
So that's luxurious. You've now gone big. Is the lessons that you learned on Down Terrace, are they still applicable to Killers when things are getting a little bit more, I hate to say cinematic, but it's sort of getting, you're going to more locations, you have more these action beats, these beats. Are the lessons you learned on Killers still applicable here? I mean, on Down Terrace still applicable here?
Yeah, sure. We set up it was a very similar production. I mean, the thing that took, I think all the house stuff is shot in about 3 days. So it's quick, and tunnel sequences a day, But a lot of the rest of it is like location moves and things like that. So, but we hit it hard, and we pre-lit most of it as well. So it wasn't. There's no stopping for camera. It's just performance. And
then you just finished your third feature. You finished shooting your third feature, And sort of, is that another step up, or how is that working on budget and time now?
Yeah, we shot over a month, but it's Amy and I joke about, Dan Terrace is all set in the house, he never leaves the house, and Killis stays in the house for half an hour and then gets outside. And this new film, Sightseers, leave the house after 6 minutes. It's really important. Don't want to do another dinner scene. That we shot it, probably didn't use it. Always have everyone in the back pocket. Awkward dinner scene. So yeah, so it's much more. It's a road movie, so it's all out and about and big vistas, and really had to concentrate on making sure it wasn't too close up. It's all wides, massive wides.
It's hard to say there's like one really particularly impactful scene in Kill List, but if I had to pick one out, it might be the hammer scene in this film. It really, and I'm a guy who's been around. I'm an old man now. I've seen a gazillion horror movies, and I've seen a million atrocities on film. That hammer scene really, it really works. Can you sort of talk about your philosophy when you approach that particular scene and how you were, able to get that impact?
There's a kind of talk around the film about genre jumping, and I don't subscribe to it massively. But there is one bit of genre jumping for me in the film, and it's that moment that it jumps out of being a film into being like found footage or something you find on the internet. So. And that bit, when the final kind of killing of the librarian is shot, is a throwback to the viral online stuff that I cut my teeth on originally. So it's shot in that style. So there's the thing that's shocking about that sequence, I feel, is the absence of edit. You expect there to be a cut, and then there isn't, and that's the moment you go, oh god, fuck, and you. And that split second as irrationally as it is, you kind of feel that maybe they made a mistake and they hit him, yeah. I mean, and the plan behind that, and why it's so horrible, and it's all, it was all planned from the beginning that would be the peak of the violence in the movie, was that it was something that I'd gotten off watching The Orphanage and the Spanish horror film. And there's a moment in that which I thought was really clever, where they'd run over. Oh, that sounds bad, doesn't it? They'd run over a woman, really clever. Anyway, they go over to her and she's on the ground, and she kind of pops up, and you don't see anything. You go, oh, of course, because they wouldn't show it because they're too tasteful, these brilliant Spanish filmmakers. And then they show, and she's like, ah. You go, oh, that's horrible, but they won't show it again, and she's back again. You go, oh. And then she's back for a third bite, and half her head's falling off. You go, oh, fuck's sake, what are they doing? What are they playing at? These people are mad. And then for the rest of the film, you think, they're mad, oh fuck, this is a film about dead kids, and they're going to show me a load of dead kids at any minute for the rest of the fucking movie, and then they don't. Jeez. Well, they kind of showed me dust fall, doesn't it? So, and that kind of thinking kind of fed into this moment, so we just go, this is the moment that we've left Planet kind of socio-realist and safe kind of banter around the dinner table into a world where this kind of shit can happen in a minute, in a heartbeat, and this might happen at any moment now from the rest of the movie, and of course it kind of doesn't, right. But you kind of think it does. It's about to. That's my thinking anyway. So you're feeling really, really worried that I am quite a distasteful, kind of horrible person.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that there's, I think, for a horror film to be successful, there has to be an element of I can't trust you.
You shouldn't.
I was going to say, we have cunning stunts if you want. I'll take a peek at it.
Can we look at that really quickly?
For those that might not know.
Yeah,
it's ready to go.
Let's go.
It's only 10 seconds.